Welcome to Decoding Superhuman. This show is a deep dive into obsessions with health, performance, and how to elevate the human experience. I explore the latest tools, science, and technology with experts in various fields of human optimization. This is your host, Boomer Anderson. Enjoy the journey. Today on the podcast, we discuss Crohn's disease, my man crush on Thomas Keller, smoothies, the best ingredients in the world, and so much more with the ladies at Tusol Wellness. Let's welcome llana Friedman and Ingrid to the show. And if you want to check out the show notes for this one, because we go over quite a lot, head on over to decodingsuperhuman.com/Tusol. And one more thing before we drop in. Check out TusolWellness.com, use the code BOOMER, and you'll get yourself an epic discount on what are some fucking delicious smoothies. I ordered these for my mother for Mother's Day, so that just tells you how much I believe in them. But let's get on with the discussion with Ingrid and llana from Tusol Wellness. We picked up a couple of new 5-star reviews on iTunes the past week. And Superhumans, I must say, I am absolutely amazed at some of these reviews. It just brings light to my day. So if you feel inclined, head on over to iTunes, or I guess it's Apple Podcasts now, and leave us a 5-star review because all of them help. Andrew Winslow says, along with getting top-notch experts, the quality of the interviews is great. Love the depth and focus into specific experts on topics such as sleep, light, and training. This review goes on for a while, so I'll leave it there, but thank you so much, Andrew Winslow. I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, Superhumans, if you head on over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review, it really helps. Let's get on to that conversation. All right, so this is a Decoding Superhuman first. We've got 3 people on the mic today. This is dangerous. And we're all in different areas due to lovely current regulations. For those listening right now, this is the middle of this awesome pandemic, but due to video conferencing, we can have some fun. So llana, Ingrid, thank you for taking the time today. I just am looking forward to this conversation. Actually, Ingrid, today, the Tusol arrived at my house and I've already had one today.
Oh, it took that long, huh? I sent it a while back. Wow.
Well, customs are a joy right now. So, if the Dutch Customs Authority is listening to this, thank you so much. But it was perfect timing. So I had one right before this and I'm energized and ready to rock. So I just want to dive in with you guys. llana, first, I have to ask this question because I have a man crush on Thomas Keller, as I've told you before. What is it like to work at French Laundry?
Loaded question, but I think
loaded question. All right.
We could have a whole hour discussion about that, but I'll spare your listeners. I think that I learned more in that experience than I've learned in any experience my entire life, hands down. I mean, I call upon the strength that I gained there daily. So I'm extremely grateful for that. But I think that you surrender to the fact that it will be your whole life. You will not have a life outside of, the restaurant that you exist within. And so you just have to find the lessons in everything. And I think that, one thing you learn, for example, is like no detail is too small. And I think whether it's, he would always come by and grab like lint off the rug in the back of the storage warehouse. Things were like, you and I would never think twice about bending over and picking up a piece of lint. But the reality is, what you're presenting to people, it's not just what you present to them. It's the entire process of getting it to them, and nothing's too small to overlook. Was a big thing. And then another piece that I pulled from that I try and pull from daily is like, meeting expectations is never enough, especially, when you're dealing with a customer and when you're dealing with an experience, especially at a place where expectations are so high and people come in expecting the world. is not enough to give them the world. You have to give them much, much more than that. And so I think that's something I really am excited to try and do with our Tusol community, not to sound too salesy, but like that's where my excitement comes from, is by trying to exceed people's expectations and living in the pressure cooker of what the French Laundry is and the beauty and the special place that it is really stays with you for forever. I'd hope, I'd imagine.
So that ability to perform under pressure. Man crush. Yeah, exactly.
Sign off on that.
That's a conservative conversation. I'll give you the juicy details.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take that offline. Oh, we can have all the juicy details offline. Ingrid, I have to ask, autoimmune conditions, these seem to become more and more popular for all the wrong reasons, right? People are getting them at rapid rates. And I know you've had some experience with it. If you're willing to share, I would love to talk about what your experience was with Crohn's disease, because I do think this all kind of files into this story, but what was that like? And if you don't mind just explaining it to people.
It was something, I was young when I started getting symptoms of Crohn's disease. And it's something that, to me, it was at the time was very taboo, because I wasn't very open about my life back then. And so I didn't want to be sharing with the world like, oh, I'm having these issues. I'm having, bloody stools. Hey, what do you do about that? I was really, really embarrassed about that, about all the symptoms that I was having. And so I was hiding it for a long time. I didn't go to the doctor. But the little symptoms started. And it's something, when you get an autoimmune disease, it's something that is not going to hit you right on your face. The body is always telling you something. Since the beginning, it's always telling you a clue. The problem is that some of us are not connected to our body. And so when you have, I think the first symptom is lack of energy, lack of sleep, little subtleties in your body. And so when there is and then we don't pay attention because we think it's related to work. We think it's related to everyday stress. We think it's related to, I have children. It's just my children are giving me more stress than people. And so we put all the symptoms under the carpet and we start shoving everything under the carpet. So it's not until the end when your body's like, you know what? I told you, I gave you all the symptoms. I gave you all these clues. You're not listening to me. Like, this is what I have to do. Or this is what's happening. And so all those symptoms were there, the low energy, lack of sleep, feeling bloated, feeling, certain things will upset my stomach until it started getting worse and worse and worse. And if you have Crohn's, if you have colitis, if you have any IBS issues, you know that it's just something that you probably have to deal with every single day. Sometimes it would stop me from going to social gatherings or seeing my friends or hanging out with people because my stomach pains were so bad that I just didn't want to leave the house. And so I went with long periods of time without leaving the house, without talking to people, without talking to friends, because sometimes people would invite me to their birthday party and be like, well, yeah, probably my stomach's going to hurt. Like, I'm not going to go. And so, and it's also going to restaurants, going to, every time I ate, it's like swallowing a Brillo pad. Like, I feel it in my stomach. And so from there, you start getting depression. That's another one. That's another symptom, depression. And I was in huge denial because I always thought, I had the idea that people with depression would not leave their bed. And I was out. I was, still, doing my everyday things. I wasn't necessarily in bed, but I only associated depression with people that just can't get out of bed and need, pharmaceuticals in order to be able to get out of bed. But I had that. I had depression, and I was also in such denial. And that was around the time that I had my son. And so having a baby and having Crohn's pushed me into postpartum depression. And so that's another topic but it's also so taboo because how do you tell people, hey, I can't connect with my child, or I don't have that connection with my newborn? And so that's another subject, but it's also, there's a lot of taboos that people don't really talk about. And I feel like it's so important to be able to talk about it, what you feel or the changes that are happening in your body. Talk to other people, because a lot of people are going to relate. As soon as I started talking about my Crohn's experience and what happened to me, I learned that the majority of my friends are having or have had gut issues.
Yeah.
It's very common. It's very, very common. And I didn't, because I was hiding it and I wasn't able to relate to other people, but I wish I would have spoken up sooner and I would have talked to other people about it. Mm-hmm. And so that's part of my journey with that.
Mm-hmm. And so I want to eventually come full circle here, but when it came to fixing it, because a very popular thing right now for any autoimmune condition is really carnivore diets, right? How did you look at your own diet and how did you start to piece together what you could actually eat, and how did that actually lead to healing of your Crohn's?
So it's also getting into health or wellness is extremely intimidating. If you don't know anything about health or wellness, you're gonna look at a trainer, or you're gonna look at someone that's super fit, and you're gonna be like, you are from another planet. How did you figure it out? You're the smartest person on earth. How did you figure out how to get your body to that level? And how did you figure out what to eat? And you must be very, I don't know, organized with your eating. And I just saw it as very, 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 very hard to achieve. Something that I was not going to be able to do now if I started today, because I didn't know what and I went online and I searched, and there's so many diets. There's always a new diet. Yeah. Always a new diet. There's always a new a blog popping up. There's always someone talking about it. Someone, you should eat this, don't eat that, become vegan, do this. It's so confusing. And to me, it was very intimidating that I put it in the back burner for a long time. I said, okay, well, I'll research it. I'll research it later. I'll just continue to eat, because whatever I was eating was comfortable. I was comfortable with. That's something that I grew up with. It starts with your childhood, right? And how your parents lead you to having or teach you about wellness and teach you about health and teach you about, I learned all my recipes from my mother. And being Mexican and cooking Mexican food, we all know that Mexican food is not the healthiest. And learning from my mom, my mom was always in the kitchen. She was cooking from scratch, but she was not cooking with now I know that everything that she was cooking with was extremely unhealthy. And so, starting with vegetable oil, she loved using canola oil, and she loved reusing canola oil. So after she would fry something, she would put it back in the plastic bottle, and then reuse it over and over and over again. Anyway, so that's something that my mom, and so I had to unlearn that. So a lot of the journey to health and wellness is unlearning what you have learned in the past, and that's extremely difficult. And so, to me, when I saw someone healthy, it's like, what are they eating? Like lettuce and tomatoes sounds extremely boring. I don't want to eat just lettuce and tomatoes. And so, but it got to the point that I couldn't put it in the back burner anymore. It got to the point that my Crohn's got so bad that I was going in and out of surgeries.
Wow.
It got to the point that I was having my appendix had to be removed. I had a double surgery on my intestines. I had when I was pregnant, I had a heterotopic pregnancy, meaning that my intestines were so inflamed that it was pushing my fallopian tube. And so when it pushed my fallopian tube, I was pregnant with twins. So when it pushed my fallopian tube, one of the twins couldn't make it out of the fallopian tube. So it kept stopping there. So that's part of what happened with my heterotopic pregnancy. So there was so much inflammation And then if you have, once I hit that rock bottom, I was starting to contemplate suicide. It's my mind became so toxic that everything that I was thinking, I just thought about my life. It was not worth it to live in pain. Life was not worth it. I was making everybody miserable. That's what I was thinking. Like my mind was so full of toxins. And so suicide was something that was much easier to do than to start a new life that I didn't know how. And so I told myself, it was so cliche, but it was January. It was the beginning of 2017. And I told myself, if I don't do anything right now and try to change my health and try to change my fitness, I'm probably going to end up writing a suicide note to my family. And so that's the moment where, okay, this is where I have to do something. And so I hired a personal trainer. And this personal trainer would come over my house every single day. And that was a lot of money to pay a personal trainer to come to your house every day. And so I said, okay, well, if I'm going to be spending a lot of money on training, might as well start right now researching health. They both go hand in hand, and I have to do something now. And so I started researching, and I started researching nutrition, other nutritionists, started learning Chinese medicine. I went really deep into Chinese medicine, Ayurveda medicine. I went deep into Aztec medicine. And I realized that there's a lot of common denominators in that. And the common denominators are basically the nutrition and the different things the different things that your body is affected with. So there is 5 things that I saw in those 3 medicine, and I saw inflammation. That's one cause. Another cause is oxidative stress. Another one is low on energy. That's a big one. A cognitive decline, and a fifth one is gut dysbiosis. And so when I saw those 5, I thought to myself, well, those are the root cause of my inflammation and my Crohn's. Those are the 5 things that are creating what I have right now. How do I tackle those 5?
Yeah.
And I went into research, and I started researching, okay, well, there is certain superfoods, there's certain medicines that the Chinese medicine uses, like medicinal mushrooms. They have been for over 2,000 years. There's certain things in Ayurveda that have been proven and used for thousands of years, which is turmeric, and ginger, and other things to lower inflammation. There's also other things in there that in Aztec medicine, they used a lot of antioxidants, right? Polyphenols, that's what they use. And so where can I find those? And where can I find these amazing superfoods? And what are the constituents? I went deeper into that. What are the constituents of each of these superfoods? And what's in them? What's making them become an anti-inflammatory? What's making reishi mushroom become a powerful immune system regulator and a powerful anti-inflammatory and an adaptogen? What is it about that? And so I started going down, digging the rabbit hole and breaking each one of those superfoods into, okay, these are the constituents. These are the enzymes, polysaccharides, the polyphenols. There's certain things that, and then if you start looking up, okay, so reishi has polysaccharides. Great. Let's go to NBCI and let's go to PubMed and find out what medical journals have shown that polysaccharides help with inflammation, or polysaccharides help with increasing the natural killer cells in the body. And I found a ton of information. Once you start breaking down these constituents and then looking for the medicinal the journals, we start finding a world of information that, there has been studies shown that, yes, in fact, the polysaccharides in the reishi are able to boost the natural killer cells, white blood cells, the lymphocytes. And so there's results showing that, it helps with people that have cancer. So it's an anti-cancer, antiviral as well, antibacterial. And so I became fascinated with breaking down each of the superfoods. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, I became fascinated with the fact that when you mix an enzyme, for example, maca has an enzyme. If you mix maca, the enzyme of maca, with chaga, superoxide dismutase, they boost each other's properties. That means that the SODs in the chaga will be boosted with the enzyme in maca. So they work.
So it's like 1 + 1 = 4 kind of equation.
Yeah. So it's like a synergistic effect that was happening with the superfoods. And then I started to realize, whoa, okay, maca and chaga work together. But what if I add sesame seeds? What's in sesame seeds? I found that there's a type of fiber in sesame seeds that will boost maca. And so it's sort of like once I started making a Jenga puzzle in my formulations, because I started making, once I found superfoods, I started making formulations for myself out of desperation. Mm-hmm. And so each of I was tackling the five, I was first tackling inflammation. And so how do I make a nutrient dense something that I could have in the mornings? I don't care what it is, but something nutrient dense that could help me tackle inflammation. And so I started putting a Jenga puzzles with all these superfoods, and based on each of their constituents and their synergistic effects. And so I started making, I have maybe like 10 formulations for myself. Mm-hmm. This one's for my inflammation. Okay, now I'm going to make one for my fogginess. I have so much fog going on in my brain. And so I started looking for superfoods that would help, that were known to help with cognitive decline. One of them was lion's mane, which is the mushroom known to boost the acetylcholine in your brain. And acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter that it's associated with memory and with also digestion, by the way. Mm-hmm. And so great, let's make a formulation for cognitive decline. Whoa, okay, great. What is making me age faster? Oh, oxidative stress. Great. So an accumulation of free radicals. How do you stop free radicals? And so then I made this antioxidant longevity formulation. And so they became smoothies for myself. And so I realized that because I couldn't eat any solids because of my gut issues, I realized that having something that's already pre-digested, blended, mm-hmm. was going to be able to be absorbed very well in my body. And mm-hmm. so I was assisting my gut into digesting. And I mean, it takes a lot of energy to digest your food. It's about 30% of your brain energy to digest. Mm-hmm. And so I saw results right away within the first 2 weeks. I started seeing my energy increase. I started seeing less bloating, and I kept going. With the smoothies. And mm-hmm. I want to say within a month, I lost so much weight. I had lost, I want to say like 15 pounds the first month.
Wow.
And then I started to see, I was able to sleep mm-hmm. Better. And after, I want to say within 4 months, I will show you my before and after. You could see it. I was so inflamed. Yeah, there's a lot of inflammation you could see on my face. Mm-hmm. And you could see I had lost 30 pounds after that.
Wow.
People weren't recognizing me on the street. I have so much energy. I was a different person. All of a sudden, and the only thing that I didn't care about losing weight. That wasn't my priority. That was a byproduct of what I was doing. Mm-hmm. The only thing I cared about, really, and the reason why I wanted to change my lifestyle is because I wanted the energy to be able to play with my son and to be able mm-hmm. to connect with my son, to be able to have energy. And so I realized ultimately that's what everyone needs to be able to chase their dreams and to go after what you want in life, right? You need energy to be able to create things. So to be able to go out there and socialize, you need energy to be able to chase your dreams and chase your ambitions. Without energy, you're gonna be my old me, where I would just sit at home and just look out the window and just be miserable.
Yeah. Especially right now when we're all on lockdown, right?
Oh, yeah. But that, I have a little tips about that.
We'll come to that in a second. Llana, I would love to just hear, because, okay, French Laundry, one of the best restaurants arguably in the world, right? And would like to just hear how you decided, like, what was the thought process that went from, hey, I'm working in this really I think it was 3 Michelin star, it may still be, restaurant. How do you make that decision to just jump forward into the health industry from there? Because that's not an easy, to walk away from something like that is not very easy to do.
I think that if you look through my personal background, French Laundry is more the wild card than the health world is. I grew up in Los Angeles. It's, beautiful produce year round. I was spoiled, and I studied at Berkeley, and I ran a farmer's market on the campus, and I mentored the cutest kids, all these elementary school kids around Berkeley, and how to, grow your own tomatoes in the backyard, and how to grow peas in the springtime, and kind of hang them on the wires. And it was across the street from Chez Panisse. So there was always in my heart, and I would spend summers working at farmers markets in like Beverly Hills, working with chefs like Wolking Puck, but more so on the produce side was always where my heart was. And after graduating, I moved back to Los Angeles, and I started a nonprofit organization, really in line with what was in my heart, which was working with kids in East LA, Boyle Heights. It's a extremely difficult part of LA. It's people don't.
You don't necessarily go there if you go to LA, right?
You definitely don't go there. I mean, the first time I went, I was driven around by the LAPD in bulletproof vans, shown the different projects. I mean, but this is normal life for these kids, and they're, brought up in it, and it's survival. You don't really have an option to be part of it or not. But also these kids have no access. I mean, it's the worst food deserts. So they have no access to farms. They have no access to produce. They've never seen the beach, quite frankly. It's an hour away. They've never had access to the beach. So when I moved back to LA, I started a nonprofit that brought the kids into farms, brought them to farmers markets, brought them into restaurants, and really taught them how to eat healthy, how to get outside of their spaces, how to build, a cinder block vegetable garden in your backyard, because it's possible. And it's sunny year round. You can grow anything here. You just kind of accidentally drop seeds and you'll grow food. And so you could find in the roundabouts kale growing, and you can find artichokes growing. And there was no awareness of this, and there was no one teaching this, and there was no one prioritizing it. So that was really my passion when I came back here. And so I started that here in LA. I had teamed up with a restaurant group, actually based in New York, but they had locations in California as well. And so I kind of worked with them on the restaurant side, bringing the kids in. And then I also took over a lot of I developed local sourcing programs and menu development for them. So I would say, look, I'm bringing the kids to this farm. Why are we buying from Cisco? I won't say the name of the group, but nonetheless, there was a lot of incontinuity there. So I took over really the sourcing, the local sourcing, the logistics, and continued working with the kids in East LA, and then opened a chapter in Harlem, New York as well, because it was the same unawareness, I think, and lack of access to healthy food and knowing what to do with it. And I learned the coolest things that are happening in farming there's rooftop gardens in Brooklyn that are bigger than, that are massive, that are bigger than some farms. And there are, if you go into Queens, there are these biodynamic farms with chickens and with cows, and it's all connected. And so it's, again, it's in our backyards. We're just not brought to it, and we don't know what to do with it. And we just assume it doesn't matter. That was really my background, was much more in food systems and education. After 3 years with that restaurant group, I thought, why don't I work for, the best, quote unquote, best one of the top restaurants in the world. Semantics. But so that, for me, the exciting part about that was just getting out of LA for a little bit again. Learning from a place where I could never learn what I learned there in Los Angeles. I could in New York, in San Francisco, but Los Angeles at the time didn't even have the Michelin ratings here.
Wow, really?
Didn't get out of Michelin because we just didn't care. I mean, LA is not about service, it's about scene. And so doesn't matter if your drink comes the wrong drink. It's just, it's fine as long as it's there. And as long as it's diet, not, full sugar, but nonetheless. So I moved up there and I worked in the farm up there in the culinary garden. I was studying wine. So for me, that was really my passion. The service side was exciting to learn. As you said, it's a pressure cooker. But after a few years there, and learning, seeing how, I don't want to get too philosophical, but seeing how unhappy people with means were compared to these children I had worked with that were the happiest campers in the world with nothing. Yeah. It was a little bit startling for me. And so I really wanted to reroute and go back to, okay, how can I help people learn about nutrition, easily consume something healthy, and enjoy their lives. And I kind of landed with Tusol, I want to say, because I had tried approaching health from the food service side. Okay, I had tried approaching health from helping teens out. That's fine, but nothing really stuck. It has to come from the household. It has to come from the parents and the family and the education. And I think with what we're trying to do and with what I'm excited about now is more of a top down, where we're targeting more the decision makers in the house to be the ones choosing health, choosing to implement certain lifestyles that will be beneficial to everyone else in the family. So that's why we kind of started with, now I'm approaching it from, I think, a different perspective than trying to go to the kids and then they go home, they have $1 and they have to eat Carl's Jr. I mean, there's an awareness, but it's not that easy to adopt long-term. Like, and so I'd say that's how I ended up back in health. And yeah, being in food service and hospitality is, a humbling educational experience, but that was never my passion. The bits of it carry though.
So you guys came together, as I understand it. Ingrid, you were, I would just love to hear sort of the spark that launched the brand, so to speak, because Ingrid, I understand you were making these smoothies and the recipes that you came up with for energy. I would love, I think I have some of them sitting right here, but I'm going to pick your brain on those in a little bit. But you were making these for other people. And then at what moment did you two connect and say like, hey, let's do this together? Bam, let's go.
Yeah. So that, wraps around to what I was just saying, that, so when I saw the results in making the smoothies for myself, I wanted to share them with everyone I knew, all my friends. I was just forcing people into being healthy. I was, okay, I'm coming over your house. I'm giving you a 30-day supply of what I just made for myself. And I wasn't thinking, I've never been a business person. I've never chased money. I've always sort of created things and really didn't pursue money. I'm so bad at it. But anyways, so I was giving them for free. I was just going around and giving it to people, and based on their ailments. Okay, what's going on with you? Oh, well, I have low energy. I have, I'm stressed out. Okay, say no more. Here you go, 30 days. And so it became a thing in Malibu. And one of those people was Ilana's dad. I went over to his house, gave him his 30-day, and he said, by the way, he's a brilliant, one of the top venture capitalists. And so when I finished making him the smoothies, he goes, have you ever thought about making them into a business? And I said, I wouldn't even know where to start. No. You should meet my daughter. She just came back from Napa, and she wants to start a business. But I feel that you guys would complement each other. And so me and Llana, we had already met a couple of times before, but it wasn't, we didn't connect per se when we met. But when we connected for this, we sat down, and it is sort of, to me, it made sense on the spot. I said, wow, this girl, she's very smart. She's very focused. She's very, very talented at what she does. And so I wanted to sort of marry her right on the spot, but she had to, she was already, she was talking to other companies, and I was like, please choose me. But anyways, she came around, and that's how we got connected. We started Tusol to be able to help more people, because I wasn't going to do it I couldn't do it on my own. Just how many people could I by myself, just going to their houses, versus if we start a company, we could open up more doors and help more people. And so, yeah, that's how it started.
I want to spend a moment on the ingredients, because look, the package comes, it's gorgeous, by the way. Whoever did the packaging, amazing.
Thank you.
You guys spend a ton of time on ingredients. And I know, Ingrid, I've heard you talk about it before, but how do you go about sourcing these? Because there's some things in here which most people may not have heard of, but there are others like curcumin or turmeric that, like, the importance of sourcing high quality stuff is tantamount. And so if you don't mind just kind of walking through your sourcing process, because I know that's really, really important and core. The quality is core to what you guys do. Anyone out there in Smurf mode right now? Full Smurf, half Smurf, maybe something different? If you've tried blue carnitine, you know what I'm talking about. 4 ingredients which get you absolutely locked in. Short-term memory benefits, focus, verbal fluency, which is why I use it for most podcasts. But if you want to try yours, head over to transcriptions.com and use the code BOOMER for your limitless benefits. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, the quality was very, very important to us, especially because if I'm going to tell you that drinking the balanced smoothie is going to help with your gut, it better help with your gut, and it better not have any impurities in there. Better not have any heavy metals. It better not have any anything else in there. And so that's one of the things that it's, when me and Llana got together, we told each other, we're never, ever, no matter what, we're never going to cut corners when it comes to ingredients. That's the most important thing that we need to, that's our core in the company. And so when it came time to sourcing, it was an interesting journey in the sourcing part, because we were looking for a co-packer or a manufacturer that could help us put the smoothies together. And so we talked to so many of them, and we learned very interesting facts about sourcing. For instance, the FDA, once it's certified organic by a farm, you're not required to test for additional things like mold. That's not a requirement. You're not required to test for heavy metals because it's already organic, right? You're certified organic. You're good to go. And so you're not required to test for anything else. Anything else that you want to test for is going to cost you money. It's going to cost the company money. And so a lot of these companies are not doing that because it costs money. Mm-hmm. And so we learned from talking to these co-packers, especially one, I'm not going to put any names, but we sat down. I remember sitting down with this person, and I remember looking at a cabinet they were so proud of all the companies that they were co-packing for. And I recognized a bunch of them because I've seen them at this very famous store. And if any of you guys are from LA, you know Erewhon. Erewhon is the epicenter.
Erewhon is great.
Yes.
I've spent way too much time and money there. So
I recognized a bunch of the products, and they said to me, the lady, I asked her, well, after you're done, so let's say you receive let's say you receive the product from X country. I don't know. You receive the cacao from Peru. You get it. It's a certified farm. What happens then? Oh, so we receive it, and then we take a sample, and then we put it away. And then in case there's a problem or a customer comes or there's a lawsuit or anything, we'll pull it out and we'll test it just in case. But so far we haven't had any issues. So wait, are you telling me that you're getting it from Peru, you're getting it into your company, you're not checking to see if there's any heavy metals, if there's any mold, no, we haven't had an issue so far. And so, and we don't really test unless you want it. If you really want to test it, then we'll send it to the lab and test it. But we haven't had any of our clients request that.
Because most clients don't know that there's cadmium in cacao or something like that, right?
That's a problem. So
yeah.
I started from sourcing, we started to realize that there's certain things and certain superfoods that there's a big problem with. For example, cacao, there's a big problem with cadmium. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants ceremonial cacao from Peru because that's where the best cacao comes from. Mm-hmm. But when we were sourcing for cacao in Peru, we couldn't find a farm that didn't have high amounts of cadmium. Mm-hmm. And that's a neurotoxin. That's a less known heavy metal. Everyone knows mercury, everyone knows lead, but cadmium, it's a problem. And so we ended up going with a small farm in the Dominican Republic. Mm-hmm. So it was very clean. And so that was a problem with a lot of the superfoods, and we started to realize, wow, this is something that it's a problem because a lot of these companies are not testing for any impurities, and even if they do test, even if they do have a lab in the co-packing company, it's their own lab. So to me, it was important that also, in addition to be sent out to the lab, that it wasn't a lab that is owned by the manufacturer itself. Mm-hmm. It's a lab, it's a third-party lab, somebody else, another company outside of payroll. And so we found the perfect manufacturer that had a third-party lab that was tested everything, because it's important that whatever you're getting your product or your ingredient from, that it gets tested when it arrives, because you don't know what happened during transit.
Yeah,
you don't know what happened. You don't know if there's someone manhandled your package or what, but you don't know what happened. You gotta test it, and then when it's tested before it goes into production to be tested, I mean, it has to be tested. You don't know. You don't even know if, yes, there's a certification that's coming from India for your turmeric, and it's certified organic. But you don't know if you're getting the turmeric that you asked for. You don't know what's in it. You got to test it. You got to make sure that there's no pesticides. You got to test it that it's actually turmeric, that you're not getting another, because that's a problem too, that they're not switching your stuff and giving you something else. And so that's something that we test and test and test, and want to make sure that everything it's because it would hurt my heart if any of my products had mercury or had high levels of mold because it was a problem for me. That's one of the reasons why I was sick. I was swimming in glyphosate, in pesticides. I was swimming in heavy metals. And so to me, that's important that you don't introduce any more toxins, because you got to introduce nutrients, not toxins.
I want to go into the formulations because candidly, your blog is extremely detailed, and it's you guys go into a lot of detail about the nutrients and just even getting in detail about the neurotransmitters and their effects about it. And it's amazing what you're doing. The formulations, how do you come up with these? Ingrid, is this largely based on your experience, or is this like, there's so many different good formulations here. Talk me through how you come up with those.
So those started because I started to see results for myself. So I was the first guinea pig. I wanted to make sure that the formulations I was putting out there are actually work. And that's those formulations, especially the antioxidant one. That one I drank every single day for, I don't know, probably a year.
Were you consuming anything else but smoothies during this time? Or was it predominantly?
So here it goes. So when I started doing when I started with the smoothies, that was my meal replacement. I was looking for a nutrient-dense breakfast. That because putting all those ingredients into a bowl, there's no way you're gonna be able to finish that. Those are a lot of ingredients, and I wanted to sort of help my body be able to absorb them, help my body break them down, blend them. And so that's the only way I could find that I could hydrate my body, introduce fiber into my diet, because I was reading something that the majority of the intake of fiber that people are taking today, it comes from bread.
Yeah, of course.
Their fiber comes from bread. And so it's one of those things where prebiotics, which is a form of fiber, you need that for your gut. That's the food for your microbiome. That's what your microbiome eats. But it needs to be diverse, because if you don't diverse your diet, is not a nutrient. There's no nutrient diversity. There's no way your microbiome will be diverse. And the more diverse your microbiome is, the healthier and the more energy you're gonna have. It's all about the diversity of your microbiome. And so how do I introduce? First of all, I love ice cream. That's my weakness. So I thought, how do I make
you and me both, by the way?
Yeah, I love ice cream so much. So how do I make an ice cream like dessert? Because I have a sweet tooth that has nutrient density. And so, and what are the things that the sad American or diet or with the standard American diet is lacking, right? And so, if there's fiber, polyphenols, antioxidants, and also I read that the just like bread, people are not consuming antioxidants, and the only antioxidants that people consume is from coffee.
I'm not surprised,
right? So how do you introduce more antioxidants? How do you introduce more nutrients into because breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You're fasting for I don't know how many hours that you're sleeping, and then when you wake up, you need to give your body the constituents and you need to give your body the ingredients that it needs to start, because there's chemical reactions happening every millisecond of the day. And so for that, your body needs ingredients. It's not going to get it out of the air, right? You need to give your body these constituents. And so I was giving, so that's how my formulation started with myself. And each one was one of I focused on the 5 things that people, basically those 5 things that I mentioned earlier, which is cognitive decline, oxidative stress, gut dysbiosis, and low energy. Those are the things that make people premature age. That's it. It's the cause of premature aging. And premature aging is not only going to show on your skin, but it also affects your organs. Your organs are going to get older sooner. So when I was having gut issues, I started when I was 28 years old. I swear I could tell you that if you would have asked me, how old are you? I was feeling like I was 80. Like I was like a slug. I couldn't really like move. I was feeling heavy. I was feeling like I was feeling like I was carrying a bunch of rocks and just carrying this, just feeling like I was about to go into a convalescent center. So how do you tackle that? And those are the 5 things that I focused on. And so those formulations, it's finding each superfood, each one of those nutrient dense foods, because you have medicinal mushrooms that are packed with other nutrients, that are packed with antioxidants, that are packed with polyphenols, that are packed with polysaccharides, that are packed with all these chemicals that compounds that will help enhance your brain, will help lower your inflammation, increase your immune system. And so I wanted to, the way they came together is through finding the synergistic balance in between all those superfoods and zooming into each of the constituents that has been, each of those ingredients that have been known to work for thousands of years in this different types of medicine, like Chinese, Ayurveda, and Aztec. And so each one was born that way. Yeah.
So the product line right now is smoothie based. Are you guys looking at potentially diversifying away from smoothies, or is it predominantly focusing on these amazing meal replacement packs, which I'm going to carry with me everywhere over the next couple of months, so to speak?
I think that we would be doing a disservice to our mission if we didn't expand our product line, quite frankly. But, we are a very new company, and since launching, the world has changed dramatically. And so what we want to make sure we're doing is listening to what people want and what people need and adjusting accordingly. And we know now, and we know that this recession is going to impact people's lives in a very big way and for a very long time. And so it's our responsibility to make sure that we are able to support as many people as possible. And finding creative, innovative ways to do that is going to, in part, demand a more diversified product line than this. It takes time, as you know.
I do know quite well. So I would love to just hear, like, let's say all of this muck that is in the world right now went away, that muck being a virus in particular. And like the veil was lifted, we're all able to travel again. If you can project out sort of where do you want the future of Tusol to go over the next couple of years? I would love to hear more about that.
I think that we have to, so our mission really is making health simple, easy, enjoyable. You shouldn't have to research. You shouldn't be confused. You shouldn't have all these things standing in the way. Basically, let's not make excuses. Let's make products that make it so easy for people to be healthy that they'd be crazy not to. I mean, that's really what we're trying to accomplish. And so I think that this is a big wake-up call in terms of personal responsibility, preventative health, awareness of our own ability to control really our lives. And I think that, as we don't necessarily have the capacity to support, I mean, America especially, let's be honest, is going down an extremely unhealthy trajectory, right? Yeah. We don't take care of ourselves. We are I don't like the word, but we're morbidly obese. I mean, a majority. So our system can't support that, and we can keep creating these initiatives and these policies and, having a partisan debate about it, but it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we need to take control of our health. So I think what we always want to make sure that we're doing is providing the easiest, simplest, most enjoyable way to do that. And whether that's, movement, whether that's education in some capacity, whether that's more sustenance on top of the smoothies, there's a million things that we need on a daily basis, whether that's, literature, cleaning products, anything that you come in contact with every day, we can make conscious decisions to make it a little bit better. So I think where those needs aren't being met and people are still experiencing pain points, there's plenty of opportunity for us to try and come in and do it a little bit better, take less shortcuts, and hopefully as consumer consciousness and demand continues to move in the direction of awareness of health and wellness and the importance of it, that's going to impact businesses in a much bigger way. And so I don't know, that's exciting to me. I can list a million products now that I'd love to launch, but it's going to take time. Right now we're getting it to people. We're asking you to do one thing a day that takes you 1 minute a day, right? You want to be cognizant of anything else that we ask of people, that we provide to people. It's not going to take you 5 minutes. It's going to take you 1 minute, and it's going to be easy, and you're never going to have to think about it again. It's going to become a routine.
Amazing.
So that's really the direction I would say of what we're trying to accomplish.
Making health easy. This is amazing. Llana, Ingrid, this has been incredible. I want to transition now, just cognizant of time, to the final 3 questions. And since we have both of you, maybe both of you can chime in on answers here. But what book has most significantly impacted your life?
Oh, wow. Wow.
I think we're both massive bookworms.
Me too. So somebody asked me this question. I was like, okay, I'm going to steal the question, and it's going to take me a while to answer this.
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I have so many books in mind. I know I'll limit my response, but I have 3 books that live on my coffee table and I look at them daily. Marcus Aurelius is one of them, Meditations.
I have it right behind me in the bookshelf over there.
It's falling apart, my copy. It's time for a new one. But that, I mean, it's so powerful. And I think now is the time that we really, I mean, all things considered, need to get back to the awareness of our own control over our own thoughts, about, the fact that we do things because we should, in a perfect world, we'll go back to my perfect world. We should do things because they're just the right things to do. We don't have to look for approval. We don't have to look for other people. It's just do things correctly and don't do it predicated on what someone else is going to think or say or believe. And we're being watched and policed and, putting our entire personal lives in public, and that's not for ourselves, quite frankly. That's not for any reason that's natural, right? That's not a fulfilling existence. So I just love it because it helps bring you back to, okay, if you did something good for someone, that's it. There's nothing else. There's no expectation. There's no judgment. There's no approval. There's no nothing. It's just the right thing to do. And also just, you're in charge of your thoughts. So all this roller coaster of what's happening day to day, it's nature. It's going to happen. But you have everything you need to be living a happy existence. It's, That's one book. I'll spare you the other ones.
Oh, I think you left a cliffhanger for the listeners. So you need to at least tell us the other two.
Okay. Awareness. I'm like looking, who do I talk? Awareness by Anthony DeMello. Have you read this book?
I have not, but it sounds like something I'll add soon.
Oh my gosh, do you want me to grab it? It's amazing. It just talks a lot about how can I say? It's kind of similar to Stoic philosophy in certain ways. It's a lot about your existence and your control over your existence and your thought patterns. And it pulls a bit from Buddhism in the sense of like, there's the me and there's the I, and there has to be we're kind of more vessels than we are the actual human embodied. Like we're embodying these human figures, but things are going to happen. They're going to pass through and will continue. And it's our responsibility to not react, but to experience it and to open our eyes and to see everything that's happening around us. And like Ingrid was talking about earlier, it's a lot about unlearning. It's about, we're constructed in these ways where we're looking for patterns and we're looking for comfort, and it's just biology. It's efficient to do that. And that's how we're wired for survival. But our job now, given everything happening around us and the world we live in, is really to consciously deconstruct that and question it and challenge it and say, okay, this is happening. There's something we can do about it. It's not a passive existence. That's more that one. So that's random, but I love that book.
Ingrid, we've given you some time to think about this now.
Yes, I have so many. Okay, I have books that really. The first book that really impacted me, and this is one of the I usually gift it. I buy it in bulk and gift it to people. It's a small essay by Seneca. It's called On the Shortness of Life. It's only 60 pages, but it was written in 49 AD. And when you read that book, it feels like it was written right now. Yeah. Because it gives you the idea that people have not changed, right? We think about like, oh, well, people today, social media, people today, and this. No. It's still the same thing. People are still complaining of not having enough time, right? And people complaining of the same things that we're complaining today. And so if you haven't read that book On the Shortness of Life, it will open your eyes into being more conscious about your time and who you give your time away to. Because it's if I ask you for $20,000 right now, Boomer, you're gonna be like, no, right? If I ask you for 3 hours of your time, you're gonna be like, sure, yeah, why not? Yeah, let's do it. But it's sort of that thing where like your time has there's no monetary value in your time. Like it's your life. You're giving away hours to people, to certain people, and sometimes you want to hang out with people, and like you're still doing it because you just want to have peace, or you want to. You're just giving it away. But it's one of those things that I learned where like, wow, I'm very conscious about who I give my time to and where I spend my time. And so it's one of those books that you're like, wow, you're going to be like blown away because people back then were still complaining about that. And so it's a great book. And I like him because he's like sort of like I like him as a character. He's just this grumpy man, but I really like the way he writes. Another book is A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Oh, such a good book. Yeah.
That book is a must read by everyone, because that's one of the things that I realized when I started my health journey. It's finding that meaning, right? Finding that meaning to be able to continue with life and love life. To learn how to love life is to find a meaning. And so that's one of the things that people are struggling with, not only health wise, but it's like the meaning to get you there. So find that meaning. And how do you find that meaning? Another one that I like is Your Brain of No. That's another one. That's a health book. If you want to read it on the side, it's just one of those books where it's called Your Brain on Parasites.
Okay, interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Such a great book because it's sometimes I'm in such control of my health. But when I read that book, I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I have no control. Sometimes we're going to get parasites that are going to be controlling every move that we do or controlling the that we like. I could go into detail. That's for another podcast. But you could go into detail of what these parasites do in your brain. And like if you have different cravings for food, or if you like to leave your life on edge, maybe there's a parasite in your brain that's telling you to live on edge. But another book I like for that really, this is more of a nerdy book. I love this book because it's from the 80s.
You're speaking to a nerd, so it's okay.
Oh, good. So if you want to learn about in detail, it's very, very well written, and it's very easy to understand about how DNA works and it's called The Pirates of the Cell. And it's a great book to read now. I mean, I read it a few years ago, but I'm rereading it now again because of what's happening with the coronavirus. But it's called The Pirates of the Cell, and it's basically how the viruses work inside of your cells and what they do inside, and in detail, how do they get in, it's just a great book to learn more about like your how your DNA gets affected in your cells and the viruses that go inside of your cells. That's such a great title, Pirates of the Cell.
It is.
One more book that I love, if you have trouble sleeping, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. It's a great read.
Great book. Top trick for enhancing focus.
Top for enhancing focus?
Yeah. What's your guys' top trick for enhancing focus?
Oh, okay. Well, this is a little bit of it's a big one. Well, the first one is lion's mane. I take it in powder form. I take it in tinctures. I love. There's a company called Wild Kingdom that makes one of the best lion's mane tincture. He's a forager, so he forages. He makes it in small batches in here in LA. But that is good to boost your acetylcholine, and I know it works 100% because I take it before sleep. And when you are sleeping, when you're on REM, one of the neurotransmitters that's very abundant in your brain is acetylcholine. That's the reason why you're dreaming. And so I like taking it before bedtime. I don't take it every day, but I take it when I want to have really good dreams. And it's the best dreams, and I know my acetylcholine is working because I get the best dreams. And I take it in the mornings when I need to focus. My other go-to one, which I have right here, is nicotine. Yeah. Nicotine is such a good antioxidant for the brain. It's been shown that oh, hey, cheers.
Yeah, exactly. I took it right before this podcast, so
it's such a great it's very taboo because people don't understand it, but please go research nicotine. It's in small doses. You take 1 milligram. It's an amazing antioxidant for the brain. It's been shown to help people with Alzheimer's. Actually, there's a study that shows that people that smoke cigarettes don't really show cognitive decline. That's because of the nicotine. Obviously, don't smoke cigarettes because it's chemicals and it will ruin your lungs and probably will kill you. But isolated nicotine, I love it.
Absolutely. Ilana?
Gosh. So I'm one of those people that I can sit and work uninterrupted and forget to eat. I mean, it's just the way I'm wired. So my issue is less so with focus and more with unplugging. To be honest, Ingrid used to have to, when we'd work together, she'd be like, you need to stop and eat something. I'm almost done. Because I'm just wired that way. We're all biologically different. So I don't know. There was a time I mean, obviously, I drink our banana smoothies on a day that I have to be a little bit smarter. Just
I
because
had that one today.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Done all the things. And I went through a phase of popping some Mucuna purians in there just because we accidentally bought way too much and couldn't use it. And now I have 3 pounds sitting in my cabinet. So I was like, I may as well just experiment. But no, beyond that, nothing. I mean, my biggest issue is trying to unplug and go to sleep. And for that, I've tried hypnosis. I've tried meditation. I've tried, you name it. I'm working on constantly. But focus, it's inertia. It just keeps moving.
Last question before we find out before we tell everybody where to find you, is what excites you most about the health world right now? This is a tough question, especially given the period, but.
Whatever's happening right now with COVID-19, I see a silver lining. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of people being interested in their bodies and being interested in the immunity. And that actually makes me really happy, because a lot of my friends that were not interested in listening to me, all of a sudden are calling me. It's like, okay, what are your top supplements? What should I do? What should I take? What should I eat? And it makes me really happy that it's opening a lot of people's eyes into seeing the importance of immunity. And it's something that you're not going to do for a month, or you're not going to do for 2 months and then forget about it and go on with your life after this. I hope that it sticks. And I hope that it becomes a part of their everyday routine, to be conscious about immunity, to be conscious about what they're going to put in your mouth every single day, because everything that you put in your mouth will affect you in some way or another. And so that is actually exciting me, to see people care more and be people more aware of their bodies. And I hope that it sticks, and I'm happy about that.
Amazing. Llana?
I mean, I completely second that. I think it's amazing to try and regain control over our own health. I'm very excited, hopeful and maybe overly optimistic about shifts in demand affecting shifts in agricultural practices. I could be technical about it, but the more we learn about what Ingrid's talking about, the more it's going to dovetail into, okay, now people are demanding organic. Now people are demanding, even biodynamic, at the point where organic proves insufficient. And there are new registrations that are going to come for regenerative agriculture, for sustainable agriculture, and all these shifts in consumer demands are going to finally help move the needle in terms of what farmers do on a day-to-day basis, because they're not in charge, right? They can't grow something if no one wants it. So it has to be a shift in demand and a shift in, I'm not going to get into government, but the way that we handle agriculture as a nation. And hopefully that's what I'm very excited about. And I also love, wore a mask and all, but went to a nursery the other day. And I was like, oh my gosh, how is the nursery open? It's because all these people are starting to plant their own food in their backyard.
Yeah.
What an idea. I mean, we could have been doing this forever. We wouldn't have to go to the market and wear gloves and masks. We could just, water our plants a little bit more frequently and feed ourselves. So I think that's also some sort of silver lining through it. And, just as technology is getting more advanced, we're able to grow better food in better ways. Not so much on the GMO side, but in terms of, harvesting and plant cycles and fixing nitrogen and all the things that are going to heal the soil and the earth is really exciting. And it's coming into pop culture. I mean, it's coming to Netflix. It's coming to all these places where, when you're done watching your Lion Tiger King show, you can watch about soil.
Yeah, which nobody should spend 6 hours watching that. But
they do.
Yeah, of course. A lot of people do, apparently. But well said. Yeah. Where can people find out more about Tusol?
Our website is tusolwellness.com, TUSOL wellness. And then the Instagram is tusolwellness.com. And we're just Ingrid and llana at Tusol Wellness. It's all two of us running the company. So you'll find one of us either on Instagram or email if you'd like.
Amazing. And the show notes for this one, guys, with all of those links mentioned are going to be at decodingsuperhuman.com/Tusol. Ingrid, llana, you've been very generous with your time. I love your products, so I'm going to rave about them for everybody, but thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you.
To all the superhumans listening out there, have an epic day. That episode was packed full of gems. Like, let's talk about chocolate and cadmium, shall we? If you enjoyed the episode, head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. Every 5-star review really, really helps the show. And if you want to check out Tusol yourself, head on over to tusolwellness.com, use the code BOOMER, and you'll get yourself 20% off. Like I said, I've tried them myself. I've given them to my mom, which I think says a lot about a product. But head on over to tusolwellness.com, and superhumans, I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Have an epic day.